Montessori friends, let's talk about something that will literally change the way you and your child experience food. Okay?
Ooh.
I want you to imagine stepping into a restaurant, but instead of looking at the menu, deciding what you want to order, and then seeing the food brought to your table, you are left completely, as soon as you walk in the door, to rely on all your other senses other than sight. Okay, but no vision. It's actually a real thing. It's called dark dining.
Yes.
And you can pay a lot of money for it, or you can DIY the experience for free in your own home and have the same amazing experience, all right? And all you need in order to do that is the blind fish, the blind cave fish activity from our latest theme, cave. So welcome to Cave, friends.
Welcome to Cave. Now, if you are following along, this activity is actually from week 2. If you are in our community and you are using our card, you'll find this in the week 2 card, along with some other goodies. And I think you'll find this one a lot of fun if you haven't tried it yet. I know actually a lot of folks in the community have given a spin.
Okay, so we've got several resources here to share with our friends. But do you want to first give them an introduction to the blind cave fish? And I'm just going to cut this out. So don't switch back yet. Keep keep this view on.
Keep the view on.
But just give me a sec to cut this out, because this is one of the resources that our friends would use.
So blind cave fish are a real thing. They're fish that adapted to life in dark caves by losing their eyesight and developing heightened senses of touch and smell. And they navigate and find food in complete darkness. Now, all you folks out there, as you're thinking about this, especially if we have a whole lot of little friends out there, can you imagine where else you might find creatures like the blind cave fish that evolved to not use their eyesight? There's no right answer.
Yeah, where could it be really, really dark?
There's other places where it might be very, very
other
very
than
dark.
a cave.
Yeah,
I think that's a good question. Maybe something to go research.
Absolutely.
All right, right now I'm cutting out one of the cards that is inside our cave.
Because even though it's called blind cave fish, the activity is called blind cave fish, it's actually...
this is actually the Mexican tetrafish that we're featuring.
But actually, this activity is about all kinds of creatures that live in caves that don't use their sense of sight.
Yes. So what we have is, this is actually from a different activity. But
also in the pack, though.
Also in the pack. And so one of the beautiful things about our constellation thematic our theme packs is that you can use the knowledge that you learned from one of the activities and then connect it to another activity. And you can also, sometimes we cross-pollinate the cards. So we might give you certain cards for one activity, and then you can reuse them for a different activity in a way that enhances the learning. And so that's actually what we're doing here. So here we have this photo actually comes with the blind cave activity inside the theme pack, but this actually comes with a different activity where we're having children create their own caves at home and learn about all of the creatures that they might find in a cave.
Many of which don't use their sense of sight.
Many of which don't use their sense of sight. And so here we have, I don't know if our friends can see, but we have an example of some cutouts of some of these cave creatures. And so for this activity, I am just going to, just because we're connecting these different activities, I'm just going to cut out this little blind cave fish.
Yeah, now we
Show
gave
our
these.
friends how you might do an activity
Sometimes
like this
we
first.
like to provide these in like photo form. Sometimes we like to color them. But a lot of times, like this one, we like to provide them as line drawings because we know a lot of folks love to color them themselves.
And I'm going to demonstrate just a little bit. We actually really love watercoloring around here too. So good for developing their fine motor skills. It's accessible and pretty easy for just about every child, especially when children are very young, they can get really caught up in perfectionism because they can't draw or color as well as a parent. And I know some of you are out there and this is probably triggering you right now. You're like, oh, this is what my child does. Okay, I hear it all the time. All right, so one way that you can take a little pressure off the coloring perfectionism is to give your children different art experiences that actually encourage them to be messy, like the Aurora Borealis activity, where all we're doing is just making waves on the paper and we're using our finger to smudge them, right? So it helps to alleviate the perfectionism. So watercoloring is actually another way that you can help your child alleviate that perfectionism. And I'm ready for you to do the top down because I want to show our friends what they might choose to do as an alternative activity with these materials that we have provided.
Yeah, because I think these came with the one where we make our own cave. Is that right? So there's another activity in there where I think that comes in week 3, where you're going to craft a cave, you're going to make your own little cave, and you're going to decorate it. But I love what you're doing here. I hadn't thought about this before, where you're combining these different pieces. That's
okay,
great.
So I'm going to give this to you.
All right.
And you're going to find the blind cavefish activity in there for our friends.
Blind cavefish meal.
And the blind cavefish meal. And I am going to get out some materials that we're going to use for this combined art lesson / sensory deprivation meal.
Yeah, so this is, we are categorizing this primarily under the sensorial of the 10 subject areas. Like all of our lessons, that is just one of the ways it aligns, as you're going to see here. But when we create a constellation lesson, we like to think about what's one for sure that it meets to. In this case, sensorial, as you're going to see very clearly. You're going to need your Mexican Tetra photo card. You're going to need a blindfold, a spoon, some appetizers, main course,
I'm actually not going to do a spoon this time.
Ooh,
we're going to use fingers, and so you're going to probably need to go and just wipe off your fingers before. Yes, probably going to want to wipe off your fingers. But yeah, let's do this. Okay, so first, you're going to talk to your child about the Mexican Tetra. You can see in this lesson, we give you scripting so that you'll have all the information that you need in order to share this information. And yeah, so they can, it's just very, very easy to read, and that's what the picture looks like when you cut it out. If you are doing the art activity in combination, earlier in the week or during a different activity, you and your child learned about the blind cavefish already.
That's right.
Or maybe they were planning on learning about it next. We know for whatever order you and your child decide to go in.
That's right.
But whatever way is fine. So here I have a definition about blind cavefish, and I actually have a blind cavefish here. And what I want to do is I want to demonstrate a little bit of gluing, a little bit of watercoloring, as you might do it with your child to kind of extend the activity. And then we're going to do our sensory deprivation meal.
Okay.
Okay, so here we go. So I've got a card that says blind cavefish, and I actually have a picture, a line drawing of a blind cavefish. Turn our little light on there.
Yeah.
So the first thing I would do here is I would glue it to the paper because we're kind of, you can also have a blind cavefish. You can have another printout, with the separate work. You're just going to print out another copy to combine it with this activity. And then what we're going to do is we're going to actually do a little edge gluing.
Okay.
I love edge gluing. I think it's something that's not talked about often enough. The way we do gluing in Montessori is a little bit different. We like to glue with a paintbrush.
You mean you don't just squeeze the bottle and make it giant?
No, it's like it makes a big mess, and then you can't really work with the material afterwards. So this is a method where you're actually going to be able to do your gluing and your watercoloring really in one sitting, as long as you don't use too much glue.
Now,
So-
I'm going to tell you as you're preparing this that
Yes.
I wish I had known about edge gluing when I was a kid, because I would just put too much glue in on the back of something, and then there'd be like a bubble of glue.
I know.
And you'd smoosh it down, and then it would like poke a hole through the item you're gluing
And it would
down.
take 2 days to dry.
And I'd be really upset, like, oh, it doesn't look right, it's all messed up now. So glue sticks are great, but you don't need a glue stick. This is actually better.
This is actually really good. So I'm actually just going to take my little paintbrush, get a little bit of glue on it, and then I'm going to use the paintbrush to just go right on the edges and kind of paint it on in a very thin layer. And it ends up being a thin layer similar to how it would be with a glue stick. But the benefit of this is you're helping your child with their pincer grip, their 3-finger tripod grip, which is going to help them with pencil skills later on. And I'm just going around the
It's also good for that
edges.
hand-eye coordination. They're kind of trying to follow along the edge.
Yeah, without getting on the paper.
Yep.
Yep. All right, so now I've got some glue on my card, and I'm just going to put this right up here at the top wherever I choose. And I'm going to lightly press
I
it
love
down.
this. Yeah.
And then, I know it kind of looks a little bit schoolish, doesn't it? It's
No,
fun.
it does. It reminds
Yeah.
me of a poster project that our oldest son just did.
And then I'm going to take my blind cave fish. I'm not coloring it yet, although you could color it first if you wanted to, but I'm going to be watercoloring mine. So I actually want to do the little bit of gluing first before I do the watercolor. So I'm going to take my glue again. I'm going to paint it around the edges, and you know, I'm working pretty fast because I'm an adult. Expect your child for it to take a little bit longer, for them to be a little messier while you're doing it. If they are worried about getting the glue on the paper, provide a tray for them to have that underneath, and that will really help. And what do I have my glue in here? Can you tell? It's
Looks like just a little cap.
It's just
like
a
a
little
water bottle cap or something.
Yeah, so if you have a little toddler, obviously supervise if you're using a small material like this. If you have an older child who's not mouthing, it's perfectly fine to use these little containers. Okay, here we go. So now I've got my glue on, and normally my procedure would be to go and wash my glue brush right away in the sink, but I'm going to go ahead and glue my blind cave fish, my Mexican tetra. Now, as I'm doing this, like, I want to glue more. Like, I kind of wish I had printed out, like, right? Looking at it, kind of wish I had printed out.
Where's my millipede?
More of them, yeah. I know.
Oh, you mean more fish?
More fish or
Oh,
more
yeah.
animals, yeah. Like, this is exciting. This is really fun to me, and I hope that those of us who are members in our community who know that this particular activity isn't actually inside the cave book, it's an extension from it. I hope that you are watching and also learning and excited by this. So the second thing I'm going to do after I've taken care of my glue, let's say I've taken my glue, washed my glue brush, and now I'm ready for the painting. What I have done here is I've taken a little cup and I've put just a couple drops of red liquid watercolor in there. You could also use red food dye, just a couple drops and a little bit of water. You want to mix it until, for the blind cave fish, because I looked this up, blind cave fish, the Mexican tetra, is actually kind of a pinkish cream color. Ooh. So it doesn't need to be too colorful. We can look at it, you can see it's a little bit pink.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to see, I think, probably on the camera. Oh.
Our picture makes it look a little bluey purple.
But yeah, there is actually...
When I looked at more pictures online, it's listed as being like a faint pink. So I don't even know if our friends who are watching, I don't even know if you can see the pinkness here. It may just look as though it's white, but I can see that I'm watercoloring a little bit and it's just like turning it a little bit pink. All right. Yep. And then when that dries, it'll be very faintly pink. It'll be lovely. You can also, if you're doing pink and your child wants to watercolor anything else, you can also watercolor that little fish there. And then what I'm really wanting to do, normally I would have the child use a little drying cloth, take care of this right now, but I'm just going to stick this over here since we're on video. what I naturally am looking at this, and what I want to do is add some words, some other words to it.
Yes.
To describe it. So maybe I would get a white colored pencil. Maybe I would ask my child, what do you want to say about the fish? And then you could read this to them if they don't have an idea already. It's perfectly okay just to like rewrite what is already written.
Totally.
Or children, as you know, are probably going to come up with something fun. So they might want to name their fish. They might want to name it Mr. Blind Cave Fish. or
Harry.
Or Harry, or whatever they want to do. But that makes the learning experience really come to life for children when they engage in it in an artistic way.
Yeah.
And then we're going to follow it up with a fun sensory deprivation meal activity.
So this first part is an extension. Again, if you are following along for this theme of the month and you're in cave, this is an original.
It's an original
outside
Montessori Power Hour.
See, this is a Power Hour extension. Join us every week.
Yes, I'm noticing now you could even cut out this picture of the fish. That would look really cool in the background as well. Yeah.
Okay, but if you want to stick to what's in the pack now, you would follow up or just start with
this sensory deprivation meal activity, which we are calling the Blind Cave Fish meal activity. All right, so what I have here, David, if you want to switch us back into the forward view, what I have here for us is, what you don't know is that I have placed two different pieces of food inside this container. And because I know that you have been playing with the art materials, I know you're going to want to hop up and go rinse your hands off real fast.
Oh, okay.
And I'm going to tell our friends while you're doing that, we'll be back in just 1 minute. There's some soap in there.
Okay.
Just because we don't want to mix art materials with food. All right. And I'm not going to be touching the food, so I'm going to stay here and talk to you for a minute. So all you really need is a blindfold. So when David gets back, I'm going to have him put on this blindfold and he's going to pretend to be the Mexican tetra fish, and while he's pretending to be the fish, I'm going to offer him a food that is inside one of these hidden selections. And I just have put a little piece of food that he's going to be able to pick up with his fingers from inside this little saucer. Okay, we ready? Are you ready? All right, come on back. You get to be the guinea pig. All right. Now, the only reason...
I brought an expert with me.
The only reason David has to do the activity is because I already know what's in here. It's going to be a complete surprise for him. He doesn't know. In fact, he's probably a little nervous about what he will discover. It's not cottage cheese, all right? I chose foods.
I do love cottage cheese.
I know, but you're not going to want to pick that up with your fingers. You're going to want to give your child finger food. All right, everybody. Wish David good luck.
I want you to help me.
Here we go. Okay, so what you're going to do is I'm revealing the food for option number 1 right now. This is so fun. And actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to let our friends know what the food is, but you're not going to know. Okay, so I'm going to write the word of food number 1 on this paper. David promises that he is not looking. Okay, this, friends, is food number 1. Okay, everybody got that? All right, and here is food number 2. All right, here's food number 2. Are we good? Okay, so all right, I'm gonna hide those so that David can't see. And I'm gonna offer him food number 1. All right, and I'm gonna have you take your fingers and you're gonna pick it up. How does it feel?
Well, kind of slimy at first, but Less so now
Less slimy.
than I imagined. Now oh, okay.
Smell it? Okay. And what does it smell like?
Smells like a banana.
Okay, but describe it.
Oh. Well, have you ever smelled a banana? It's similar to that. No. You know, it's sweet
It's sweet.
and floral.
Uh-huh.
There's creaminess for sure.
Now you're getting it.
And
Okay, here is your second food.
is it another banana?
No. Describe it.
It feels like a
Don't guess what it is, just describe.
yeah. It feels kind of like a pyramid shape. It's kind of like
Were you going to say plastic?
Yeah. Well, it feels smooth, very smooth. Except for here, it's rough on this side. It's very, very smooth on this side.
Okay.
And on this side, it's each side is a little.
And sniff. And then describe. And think about, like, does it smell kind of salty or sweet or sour or bitter?
It smells, I guess, salty, a little salty.
All right, and now eat it. And how does it taste? Oh, how does it taste?
Delicious.
Yeah.
It tastes, there's a little saltiness to it. It tastes a lot of umami.
Yeah.
I think it must be cheese.
All right, take your blindfold off. So the first one that I gave you was banana.
Ooh.
I think you were. It seemed like you were kind of feeling it with your fingers, and you had kind of an
Yes,
interesting
when
reaction.
I first no, I didn't expect. I did not expect to feel a banana.
You didn't.
It was a surprise.
It's a surprise.
I mean, I knew that you would not give me something crazy, but it was sort of strange.
I mean, we have been married a long time. You do trust me.
I do.
Yes. Yeah, I could have given you the cottage cheese, but no. Licking that off your fingers. But if you have a child at home and you want to give them all kinds of
What was that other one?
foods, it was cheese. It was Swiss cheese.
Oh, I didn't guess that.
You didn't?
No, I just knew it was cheese.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that was actually a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet your kids will love doing that because I did. And now in the actual activity...
And it's something you can do over and over, too. It's not
yeah.
just something that you can do once. You could keep that blindfold at the kitchen at, like, a family meal, and all of you could take turns, and then, like, maybe the next day it's the next person's time to try. Now, if your child is nervous to try the food and doesn't want to, obviously don't make them. I recommend that you model it for them first. And what David and I usually do is we do it just like we did for you. We would model that activity with each other, and then our children would see that it's not scary and it's fun, and they, after witnessing that modeling, they'll usually join in.
That's right. And you know, Harry, you were not very helpful, but at least you tried. He told me that first one was a papaya.
Oh,
Yeah.
is that right? Well, that is a big fish story.